A bad relationship will make you feel more alone than when you were single. When most people start dating, they realize a certain truth, and that truth is that real relationships can get very complex and very confusing. That's kind of what I wanted to talk about in today's video. I wanted to discuss the relationship between X and Geneva. I wanted to talk about the relationship they shared because it's almost always brought up when you talk about X or anything that he's done in music or outside of it. But before that, I just want to say I'm eternally grateful that we're building such a strong community, and that's one of the things I really wanted to establish on this channel. So thanks again. So remember to like this video, subscribe. Now let's get started. I saw some ups and downs with X and Geneva. Well, more downs because all I ever saw through the media were, well, mostly negative stuff. So for you to truly understand this story, I have to start from the beginning. Geneva being the lesser known out the pair, I want to start with her first. When Geneva was 16, her pregnant mom ordered her to move out after deciding to move in with her boyfriend. Her mother's migration to her boyfriend's house put Geneva into a cycle of homelessness, forcing her to move from one spot to the next, seeking safety in her neighbors' houses, motels, and even parks. She worked for minimum wage to meet some of her necessities, including working at Pizza Hut. And I'm gonna let you know now, no one likes working at Pizza Hut. Comment down below if you've ever worked at Pizza Hut or you know somebody who worked at Pizza Hut. I bet they didn't have a good time. Her relationship with X allegedly started after a previous ex-boyfriend of hers posted an illicit photo of her without her consent. Despite not knowing her, X insisted on fighting her boyfriend, which, let's be honest here, that completely sounds like something X would do. So I believe that 100%. So the pair met for the first time in around November 2014. After 4 intense days together, they parted and didn't see each other for another 18 months, a little over a year, when their allegedly toxic relationship would resume once again. Here's where I would say a sense of dependency would be created, as some reports would say if you saw X, you would see her right behind him. And while that might sound typical or maybe normal for a young relationship, in this scenario, it actually wasn't. While X was on the rise and more people started to know him, the couple would go places and he would be bombarded by fans and people who just enjoyed his music. She's not really getting anything. She didn't really have a job at this point because when she was pursuing a job, she didn't have a car, and X used to drive her. X and his friends used to drive her from different areas in Florida. It just became too much, and X would say, I got you, you don't need that, I can provide, basically. And that's something I think is completely wrong. You shouldn't say that or do anything like that if you're in a relationship. You shouldn't tell your whoever it is that they shouldn't pursue something individually from the other one because you think you can support them financially. Honestly creates a power imbalance in the relationship, which leads to a disaster. Fast forward, in an interview with Miami New Times, published just days before X's death, Geneva revealed how she was tortured physically and verbally for 5 months. I have to say this because we all knew that X was going through changes throughout his career and his life. He wasn't close to perfect. He would have been the first to tell you. But as you can tell by these stories, this might have been the worst version of himself that we would see later on, him trying to improve upon that. However, later, Geneva would say, despite everything they were going through, all the toxic levels throughout the entire relationship, when he died in 2018, she would say that broke her. We need to address this now because it's been 4 years since then, and me doing research for this video is reminding me how crazy 2018 was. Geneva was kicked out, like literally kicked out of a tribute in X's honor after he died. She would post a photo of the tribute she brought to honor X, and those tributes appeared to have been burnt and torched.
Yo, the fact that they burned my shit, bro, like, that's so fucking disrespectful. Like, how could you guys do that, bro? I don't care how much you guys hate me. Like, why would you guys do that shit?
Which is a wild thing to say. Like, she's still a human, you know. She didn't deserve any harm done on her by fans, or she didn't deserve her stuff being burnt. She actually did know the guy and actually had a relationship with the guy, so it kind of makes sense why she was there. But I can see on a fan's perspective, especially at that time, he just was murdered, and right before that it was looking like he was going to jail for a long period of time because of what this girl was saying. So I understand why she was met with so much hostility. That amount I don't think was justified, in my personal opinion. We saw her as the enemy because we loved X. And for people who assaulted her, man, I just have to say they owe her an apology. 4 years looking at it later, guys, we can say that was probably uncalled for. All I can say is that the pair weren't a good couple, weren't a great couple. They honestly should have never really pursued a relationship for as long as they did. Like I said earlier, both parties weren't perfect, and domestic abuse is something that kills a ton of relationships all around the world, just like this one. So that's all I got for you guys today. If you made it this far into the video, I appreciate you more than you'll ever know, and I'll see you in the next one.
I mean, I have a lot of compassion for the things that I do in my life, but as far as just like everything that goes on around me, I feel like I become very pessimistic.
Like what? Like what have you seen? Like take us into your life, your journey.
My current situation, just like I spent 9 months in jail by myself for some time, like away from the people I loved, or to like I was stuck, and because I fell in love with the wrong person, and like even like it was a fucked up situation.